We still do 7 NUFC Matters shows for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatters1892@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all believe. And it feels alright where the worlds collide. Manipulation stands to make us red. What time is that coming over you? You wish it upon a star. You wish it on a star. You are, you are, you are. You fight back, it's an all-out attack. It feels like I've been taken on the world's machine. Because I want it more than anyone can dream. You look back and it's all in the past. You tell me how you live by all the things you do. Well, you can be yourself, but maybe I'm not you. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all.
Welcome along to Those Were the Days with me, Steve Wraith, on NUFC Matters, and Ward George, as we come towards the end of this little series. It'll never be the end, because obviously we will have another season to report on at the end of this season, but we're coming into the climax as we know it at the moment. And this is going to be split into 2 episodes, part 1 and part 2, because this is a monumental season for games. And George asked if we could do this in 2 separate parts. So George, over to you.
Well, it's 2023 and 2024, and it's European Cup, it's European Championship, isn't it? Something that would really been dreaming about. And I've got to say, I'm like a lot of supporters think that we got here quicker than we imagined. I mean, the new owners came in and there was talk of a 5-year plan, and here we are, year 3. And we're in the Champions League. I mean, it just seems like a fairy tale, but a very welcome one, because the boost it's given the club, the city, and all the rest of it, and the supporters, obviously. So it is a monumental one, and some of these things have lasted 2 hours, and that's only with the league, the FA Cup, and the Football League Cup. Where this one, we've got them all. You throw Champions League in there, and they're going to add another hour on. So rather than sit here till it's time to go to bed, it seemed more sensible to do it in 2. So my plan is that we'll get the European thing out of the way and come back refresh for part 2 to look at things like the FA Cup and other things that happened in this season, because it was an incredible season by any standards in the history of the club. And so that's where we're going. And there's the strips with new sponsors, Noon and Seller on them. All great stuff, and nice strips as well, I think. As usual, to see where people were at the time. If you're a cinema goer, picture goer, the big pictures were Oppenheimer, Mission Impossible, A Dead Reckoning Part 1, Killers of the Flower Moon, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Barbie, John Wick Chapter 4, Air. They were all pictures, films that were making a lot of money at this time, and one or two of them I did actually venture to see because my granddaughter took me. So I might not necessarily have done it, but I've got to say I enjoyed all the ones I've seen. And music's interest, well, the names of people will now know, and Santa Tell Me, Ariana Grande, and a big comeback for an oldie for somebody like me. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Andy Williams, for goodness sake, and he was top for quite a while. Murder on the Dance Floor, Sophie Ellis-Bextor, DNA, Loving You, Billy Gillis and Hannah Bolin, Rich Baby Daddy, Drake and Savvy Red, and someone who sneaks into the charts and is going to become a firm favourite for us. That's Homesick by none other than Sam Fender and Noah Khan. Music that people would recognise and was involving people who would be around for a while. And so we then get into the football, and of course we use, as usual in the start of the season, lots of friendlies. We played at Gateshead. We played Rangers away, and 52,000 at that game at Ibrox. And I know a lot of Magpies went to see that game. We played Villa at home with 40,000 in the ground. We played Chelsea on neutral ground, 70,000. Brighton neutral ground at 26,000. Fiorentina, we played at St James's in the pre-season tournament, and that got 37,000. And we played Villarreal, was the other entrance into the pre-season tournament, which Newcastle won, obviously, with 34,000 going. So the fans were certainly up for everything, and even attending the friendlies very strongly. First game of the season was predicted to be a tough one. We thought it would, because Aston Villa are being tipped as the new boys on the block, possible challenging for titles and all of that sort of thing. So Aston Villa came, and we expected a tough game, and Eddie Howe fielded the following team: Pope, Trippier, Byrne, Botman, Shaw, Guveresh, Joelinton, Tonali, Gordon, Almiron, and Isak. And Aston Villa fielded Martinez, Cash, Konsa, Mings, Louise, McGinn, Watkins, Dingy, Diaby, Bailey, and Kamara. Two very good sides, playing some good football, and as you'd expect, first game of the season, full house, 52,200, and first half end-to-end stuff, but pretty even Steven, and they went ahead. We went ahead with a beautiful goal from Tonali, and then Diaby equalised on 11 minutes for Villa. 16 minutes, Isak made it 2-1, and that's how it stayed till half time, with both sides creating chances, but not increasing the scoreline. After half time, we come out refreshed and really set about Aston Villa in the second half, and it was a game where Isak and Wilson together up front are almost unplayable. and the second half, Isaac particularly just turned it on. And 58 minutes he made it 3. 77 minutes Wilson made it 4, and on 90 minutes Harvey Barnes, cutting in from the left-hand side, unleashed an unstoppable right foot shot to make it 5. 5-1 was a scoreline I don't think anybody expected. At least I certainly didn't. But it was a sign of how we were going, what we were doing, and what likely to be doing. It was very enjoyable from a football point of view, but obviously from a supporter's point of view, absolutely great. The referee was Andy Madeley, and on these things that I pick off the net, the commentary is always more about the referee than anything else. Without shooting the messenger, he's talking about Andy Madeley. The fact 3 of our 4 bookings were for technical offences due to the new PGMOL directives was just daft. And I think I'd see what he was getting at. They were offences which, in the normal run of things, wouldn't have attracted a booking, but because the professional government referees, PGMOL, had changed the rules, it became silly. And actually, only Anthony Gordon should have been booked, but Botman, Gordon, Guveresh, and Tonali were all booked. But as it says here, the commentator, only Gordon saw yellow for hoofing somebody, which I think is quite funny, really. Anyway, good start of the season. We then away to an even tougher game to Manchester City. The side goes away unchanged team, and Manchester City come out with Edison, Walker, Akanji, Ruben Dias, Gaviol, Rodri, Kovacic, Foden, Alvarez, Grealish, and Haaland. And as you'd expect with Manchester City, a tough game, a lot of hard running to do, but we stuck in and held them for quite a while. Some would say we sat back a bit too much, but I think Eddie Howe had them playing in a particular way, which was restricting Manchester City quite a lot. 31 minutes, though, Alvaro's got away from the defence and slotted in a very, very nice goal underneath Pope, and City went 1-0 up. And that's how it stayed till half time. The second half was a lot of good play, a lot of end-to-end stuff, but at no time did it look like either side was going to add to the scoreline. It was a fairly even Steven second half, but we couldn't get an equaliser, and they didn't increase on their scoring either. Robert Jones was the referee, and he's recorded as this reporter records it, saying, Robert Jones did us a few favours tonight, keen to show visiting players yellow cards, while home players went unpunished for very similar offences. The cautions for Gordon and Bruno, however, seemed lenient after watching the footage later, with neither challenge benefiting from slow motion replays. So the reporter saying that the referee at least held off doing worse than yellows for us, which is a nice change. The next game is at home to Liverpool. Another tough game. I mean, you couldn't think of a tougher start of the season. Villa, Manchester City, and Liverpool. I think a lot of people commented on it at the time. Now, this was a good game. It was as usual, 100 miles an hour. Both teams really playing hard, going well, and we certainly put the frighteners on Liverpool. Our team was unchanged. Pope, Trippier, Sharp, Botman, Byrne, Guveresh, Joelinton, Tonali, Gordon, Almer, and Isak. And Liverpool, Alisson, Alexander-Arnold, Matip, Van Dijk, Robertson, Sobolewski, Endo, McAllister, Salah, Gakpo, and Diaz. And it was end-to-end stuff. Unfortunately for Liverpool, on 28 minutes, our friend Van Dijk put in one of his customary shoulder charges, and the result was he was sent off in 28 minutes. So Liverpool, even with 10 men, though, were still causing us difficulty. 25 minutes, Anthony Gordon broke away from the Liverpool defence, and he was giving them a lot of trouble and made it 1-0 to Newcastle. And that's where it stayed till half-time. Second half, some fascinating play, end-to-end stuff, even though Liverpool only had 10 men, still giving us a lot of trouble. And we went to sleep for 5 minutes, and that was crucial, because on 81 minutes, Nunes broke away and went through the middle of the defence and give Pope no chance at all to make it 1-1. And then right at the death, 90 minutes +3, the same Nunes did exactly the same thing again and waltzed through the defence, leaving Shaw, Botman and Byrne lying in his wake to make it 2-1. Very cruel for the home fans, very cruel for the team. But at this level, you can't give teams like Liverpool second chances. Otherwise you pay. And we paid handsomely, because it was a game we should have won, but we went to sleep a couple of times, and that's expensive. Referee on this one was John Brooks and Stuart Atwell on the. The next game is away to Brighton and Hove Albion. Not a happy hunting ground for us, really. We have had our struggles there in the past, but we go with slightly changed team. Trippier's back in the side, and Target's back in the side as well. So there's a slight changes in the back four. Brighton have Vertebrugen, Veltman, Van Heck, Dunk, Esputian, Gross, Gilmore, March, João Pedro, Mitoma, and Ferguson. And Ferguson was being hailed as the new shining star, a big young lad, bustling centre forward of the Shearer type, and so it turned out to be. Every time he got the ball, he was causing the defence trouble, and no surprise in 27 minutes when he put Brighton 1-0 ahead. Too easy from my perspective as a spectator. Our defenders were really, really slack. And then second half, Brighton turned the screw a little bit, and on 65 minutes, Ferguson again made it 2. And on 70 minutes, the same Ferguson got his hat-trick to make it 3 with a cracker of a goal, which left our defenders floundering. As the game wore on, Newcastle still tried, and on 90 minutes +3, deep into injury time, Callum Wilson got a consolation goal to make it 3-1. But sadly, a game we never looked like getting into, or even never mind winning. And we got what we deserved, essentially, and kind of knocked the stuffing out of us a little bit. Referee was Stuart Atwell, and Darren Bond on VAR. So that's disappointing to say the least. The next game is at home to Brentford, another team that we always having good games with, and always give us something to think about. Thomas Frank, one of the more intelligent managers in the league, and a great technician, well able to change things to affect the game while it's going on. Our team unchanged. We got Trippier still there. No, sorry, it is changed because Dan Burns back in and at the left side, and it's not Matt Targett as it had been before. Brentford have Finkelton, Hickey, Henry, Collins, Pinnock, Mee, Jensen, Nordegaard, Janelt, Mumbembo, and Wissa. And a very, very attacking side. It's side that often causes us trouble. It's a good game, some end-to-end stuff. First off, though, neither goalkeeper needed to get too worried because the ball just wasn't reaching them. It was very, very much a midfield battle, and that's how it went to the half time. 0-0 at half time, and there was no surprise. Second half, we tend to up the pace a little bit, and Gordon and Almiron were using that pace to good effect against the big Brentford defenders and causing them all sorts of trouble. We kept plugging away, and until in 64th minute, there was a tackle on Gordon, and resulted in a penalty. And up stepped Callum Wilson on 64 minutes to make it 1-0 to Newcastle. The game was end to end after that. Brentford didn't shut up shop; they just went for it, and we held them off and ended up with a 1-0 win in what was quite an attractive game. It got a bit spicy towards the end, and Brentford had Wissa, Nordegaard, Hickey, Falcon, and Collins all booked. The goalkeeper was booked for pushing people off him at a corner. He was getting upset about the way that the Newcastle attackers were crowding him. And Newcastle bookings were Gordon, Wilson, and Guvaresh on our side. So a bit spicy, but never mind there. We got the 1-0 win, which is all that matters. Craig Pawson was the referee. The other thing is that noticing that Anthony Gordon's booked, that's him already got 4 bookings and the season's barely started. And of course, the rules are quite straightforward. If he gets another one, he's going to be out for a little while. So we've had a tough start of the season, and we get past the Brentford game into our first Champions League game, which is an away game against AC Milan. It's just incredible that here we are, and incredibly a number of Geordies who go. To see the San Siro decorated in black and white like it was absolutely great. More importantly, our team, which was virtually unchanged, went and performed incredible. I mean, there was all sorts of issues around the game, like Eddie Howe didn't take them until the day before the game. We didn't go out and practice on the pitch and all that sort of thing, like sometimes happens. And in the press, anyway, he was getting all sorts of criticism for this. But the fact is that we went and the draw had people, the press anyway, were signalling that this was the group of death and Newcastle were going to get a good hiding in this. Well, we went to Milan, and before a 66,000 crowd, showed that we weren't the Mickey Mouse team that everybody was just going to walk over, that we were going to do our best to do something in this competition. And it was a bit of a backs to the wall kind of game. But we then start to see some of the qualities of our players at this level. And none less than the Italian in our team, of course, Tonali, who was on his home soil. And what was a fascinating duel. we end up with a very, very creditable 0-0 draw, in a game which the so-called pundits weren't giving us any chance at all. So that's our European campaign off to a really good start, and we come home to resume league duties with an away game at Sheffield United. Sheffield United are predicted to be in difficulties this season, and where we go with the hope that we'll get a result. Well, it was even Steve. We go with an unchanged team from the Milan game. Pope, Trippier, Shaw, Botman, Byrne. Sean Longstaff comes in, Guveresh and Almiron, Wilson and Barnes, and the first 20 minutes or so looks fairly even because Sheffield are having a go. They're not sitting back, and then on 21 minutes there's a corner. It's pushed out the edge of the area, and Sean Longstaff meets it first time, and we're on 21 minutes and we're 1 up, and that's good. A great start for us, just what we needed after the running games that we'd had. Then on 31 minutes from a corner, none other than a certain Dan Byrne connects with a header, and it's on 31 minutes, and it's 2-0. We press and really give them a run around now. Can't handle the pace of Bonds and Almiron, and Wilson's running them ragged up front. And on 35 minutes, there's another corner, and Botman decides to get his head on it, running in from the back to make it 3-0, and that takes us to half time. So clearly there's 3 points in the bag here, but we aren't sitting back either. We come out in the second half, and well, all I can say is we just set about them. It was incredible. First 8 minutes or so after half time, there was a lot of near misses and balls flying here and there and everywhere, but Sheffield obviously struggling to keep us out. And then on 56 minutes, Callum Wilson makes it 4. And then on 61 minutes, Anthony Gordon runs clean through them to make it 5. And then on 68 minutes, another pacey run by Miggy Almiron, and it's 6. And then some clever play results in a neat cross, which is met by Bruno to make it 7. And then Isaac, who's come on as a substitute for Wilson on 87 minutes, dances his way through their defence and slams in number 8. So an incredible result. I think everybody hoped and prayed that we were going to get a result at this match, but I don't think anybody would have predicted it would have been an 8-0 because it was just savage at the end. They couldn't touch us, and that's always quite sad to see. And towards the end, of course, Sheffield start to lose their rag, and they had 5 players booked. Stuart Atwell was the referee. So a fantastic win, and a one, as I say, a win we all hoped and expected to get, but not one of that magnitude. Anyway, it's a good uplift because we're coming home for the League Cup third round against Manchester City, and we've got to be on our mettle for this. 52,000 at the game, at this League Cup game against Manchester City. Slight changes in our team. Pope, Livramento, Lascelles, Dummett, Target, Lewis Miley, Janali, Hall, Murphy, Isaac, and Joe Linton. And Manchester City with Ortega, Lewis, Akanji, Ake, Gaviardal, Gomez, Martin, Phillips, Kovacic, Blob, Alvarez, and Grealish. So 2 very changed teams from the teams that played at the City ground in Manchester earlier in the season. A good game, some good football, but first half didn't look like anybody was ever going to score. It was all in the midfield and all very tentative. Nobody really taking a chance at having a go. It was not dull, but it was tactical. It was very tactical, and not an exciting sort of game. The second half comes and we seem to step up a little bit, and it's no surprise that when Bruno comes on for Lewis Miley and Gordon comes on for Hall immediately after half time, and it changes the play markedly. Bruno immediately makes his mark in midfield, and we start getting chances. And he himself plays a lovely through ball on 53 minutes to Isak, who, in his customary style, just doesn't give the goalkeeper any chance at all. So we go 1-0 up, and deservedly so. Manchester City are trying. They're certainly not giving up, but there's no danger. I mean, I'm trying to think. I remember this game thinking how very few saves Pope had to make in this game, even though there was a lot of good play. There wasn't much in our penalty area, so we end up going through in the League Cup, knocking Manchester City out, which is a big scalp. The referee was Chris Kavanagh, and 52,000 at the game, which in our history for the League Cup, that's amazing. The next game, excuse me, is a home game in the league against Burnley, and the teams changed again a little bit. Pope, Trippier, Burns, Shaw, Lascelles, Bruno, Longstaff, Anderson's in, Almiron, Gordon, and Isak. And Burnley have Trafford, Roberts, Aldakhil, Bayer, Taylor, Cullen, Burge, Kuleshaw, Brownhill, Ramsey, and Adamundi. It's a good football game. Both sides playing some attractive football, but Burnley struggling to keep up with the pace of Isaac, Gordon, and Almiron up front. And it's no surprise on 14 minutes when Miggy Almiron runs through the defence and slots a ball underneath Trafford to make it 1-0, and that's how it stayed at half time. The second half, we look a lot brighter and start to give Burnley lots of trouble, and as a result, there's some fairly tough tackling going on from the Burnley defenders, with Taylor, Bayer, and Adamundi, and Roberts all getting booked in short time, and most of it for tackles on Alexander Isak, who's given them a nightmare. There was no surprise when on 75 minutes there is such a tackle again by Taylor, who gets booked as well, and we get a penalty, and up steps Isak to score the penalty to make it 2-0. And that's how it stayed. It could have been a lot more, because we were giving them a lot of trouble, and there was some attractive football in the game, but Burnley just couldn't handle the pace in our side. Referee was Thomas Bramall, a bloke from Manchester, and sadly, it's that's Anthony Gordon's fifth booking, so he's going to end up with a suspension. And the commentary on here says that despite given what looked like a low profile game. He was completely out of his depth, and a string of incorrect decisions left everyone baffled and bemused. So he hasn't impressed the reporter, Mr. Bramall. And of course, commentary on VAR, despite a poor day when VAR plumb new deaths, it was there were lots of errors all over the country. Liverpool, Spurs, all getting harsh decisions. So there's a commentary about VAR from our reporter. So we get it back in winning ways, which is great because we don't want to be looking over our shoulder. And then come the big boys, and in my opinion, one of the best games I've seen at St James's Park in all the years I've supported. We're hosting PSG in the Champions League, and obviously a full house, completely, 52,200. I think there's only about another dozen that can put in to make it a real full house. It just atmosphere was electric, is the only way to describe it. Until this moment, I think I, like many others, thought our previous Champions League game against Barcelona was the greatest night at St James's. Well, I think this what surpassed it. Helped, of course, because we now have war flags, G'ing things up as well, and the crowd was just up for it. Everybody was, players as well, and it was noticeable that despite all their big price tags, the atmosphere at St James's did upset PSG. There's no question about that. But what a great night! And our team: Pope, Trippier, Byrne, Lascelles, Shaw, Bruno, Longstaff, Tonali, Gordon, Almiron, and Isak. PSG: Donnarumma, Hakiki, Hernandez, Skekia, Makush, Ugarte, Zari, Embry, Dembele, Mbappe, Keenan Muani, Galacho Ramos. A real all-star lineup worth treble 4 times our squad. But they felt the weight of the night as far as I was concerned, because we just ran them ragged. 17 minutes, Miggy Almiron just ran through them and made it 1-0. And then, of course, we were getting lots of corners, and inevitably on 39 minutes, Dan Byrne made it 2 from a corner, and we were cruising at that stage. And on 50 minutes, Sean Longstaff got a nice one from the edge of the area to make it 3. PSG came back when Hernandez managed to get a goal from a free kick to make it 3-1. Then right at the death, Shaw scored with one of his peaches of his drive from just outside the area to make it 4-1. The St James's absolutely wild. But what a great night. What an absolutely superb. And if anybody had any doubt about what playing in Champions League was like and what it could do for the team, for the crowd, for the city, then this was a good example, because everybody was saying it's the group of death and how we were going to suffer. Well, we just showed that no matter what the team is, if you have a team that's going to have a go like ours did, surprising things could happen, especially with the back end of a crowd like ours. So a 4-1 win, which totally unexpected, flabbergasted all the pundits that we could do that. But to support us, of course, just left them asking, begging for more, and that really is the right thing. We could have done with, we could do with some more of that. So we come down to earth with an away game at in the league at West Ham. We go there. They're playing quite well, but not being tipped to win anything particularly. So slight changes in the team with Anderson coming in. Pope, Trippier, Lascelles, Shaw, Byrne, Longstaff, Bruno, Anderson, Almiron, Isak, and Tonali. And West Ham with Areola, Kufal, Zuma, Odegaard, Emerson, Souček, Alvarez, Bowen, Ward-Prowse, Paqueta, and Antonio. Very, very decent football inside West Ham. And we go and go for it. It's an entertaining game. There's end-to-end stuff from both sides. And at 100 miles an hour. And unfortunately, West Ham got a corner, and their big defender, Souček, happens to get the end of it in 8 minutes, and we're a goal down. But doesn't seem to knock the stuffing out. We'll keep going, and it's unfortunate we don't get an equaliser before half time. So we go in 1-0 down. The second half, there's no doubt that Eddie Howe spurred the lads up, but West Ham are struggling to keep hold of Isak. There's no doubt about that. And he, on 57 minutes, it's no surprise when he scores the equaliser. On 62 minutes, he gets the most unusual goal from a rick by their goalkeeper, and it's 2-1. It looks like we're going to get a win, but unfortunately, we just failed to hang on. And on 89 minutes, one of the substitutes, Kudas, who's on for Souček, gets an equaliser on 89 minutes, and that's how it stayed to the end, 2-2. We're an entertaining game, which gave us a point when we kicked off the way it kicked off. It didn't look like we might get anything, but we did. We got a point, and it was they played well and knocked back a very, very decent West Ham side. No question about that. Next game is to home to more London opposition, Crystal Palace. A team that's not been tipped to do anything special. In fact, some pundits are reckoning that they're in trouble. But a team that we always seem to play well against at St James's Park. And our team unchanged from West Ham. And Palace come with Johnston, Mitchell, Geehee, Anderson, Ward, Hughes, Ducor, Lerma, Eduardo, Mateta, and AU. Some very skillful players in the side and playing a skillful brand of football. But from the off, Newcastle seemed to be up for it, and the pace that is injected in by our attacking side. Jacob Murphy's given them trouble down the right side, and indeed so much trouble in 4 minutes. He puts us ahead with a nice drive from the edge of the box to make it 1-0. And just to add to that trouble, coming in from the left-hand side, Anthony Gordon makes it 2-0 on 44 minutes. Then almost as the referee's blown for half-time, Sean Longstaff gets a nice drive from the edge of the penalty area to make it 3-0. And Crystal Palace are out of it, well and truly. Second half, the Palace dig in, but we still should be scoring goals. The ball's flying about all over their penalty area, and more by good luck than good management that they're keeping it out. And but it's entertaining for the fans because it's clear we're going to take this match. And on 66 minutes, just to cement the victory, Callum Wilson makes it 4. and we're well and truly home and dry in this one. And Palace looking a bit sorry for themselves. Tim Robinson is the referee, only his 7th Premier League game, says our commentator. So back in winning ways, which is great, of course, and in style is what's important. So then we have a big European night at St James's with the visit of Borussia Dortmund, and this showed for me the difference between teams that are experienced in Europe and those that aren't, and experienced European managers. Dortmund came and faced us with full house again, and this time the crowd, Dortmund weren't as upset by the atmosphere as PSG were. They played out the game in a very canny way. Obviously, the manager had done his homework, quietened our dangerous players, and just kept pushing it out and pushing for the break. Our side is Pope, Trippier, Byrne, Lascelles, Shaw, Joe Linton, Sean Longstaff, Bruno, Isaac, Gordon, and Almiron. Dortmund, Kobel, Wolf, Hummels, Schlotterbeck, Benziani, Zabitzer, Kahn, Nencha, Malern, Fulkrug, and Rios, and a tidy side of work, playing some really, really good football. And even though it was defensive, they were still able to break out occasionally and cause us a great deal of trouble. And quite sad that it looked like we're going to go in 0-0 at half time, so we could think about what was happening second half when Nemencha, the dangerous winger, looked fastened onto a ball and almost was the last kick of the half, made it 1-0 to Dortmund. We, like most supporters, I thought we'd come out and have a real go at them, which we did. But they weren't taken aback. They just there was a confident air about how Dortmund were playing, and it just, I think, just comes from 15 straight years of playing in the Champions League, and it showed. So we go down 1-0, no disgrace. We played well, but that finishing touch, that last ball, wasn't there for us, and so we lose our first European match in this particular competition, 1-0. But no disgrace, nothing like the forebodings that the pundits were saying about the group of death. We really have acquitted ourselves in this Champions League session. Arthur Dias from Portugal was the referee, and the reporter on here says, unsympathetic United's cause, but not to blame for the outcome. So that's an honest assessment, and I agree with him. It was the loss was our fault, nothing to do with the referee. But an entertaining game, a very tactical game for the football purists in many ways, but totally different to the PSG game, where the crowd did influence, where Dortmund weren't upset at all. They just played calmly through their game. So then back to league duty, and we're away to Wolverhampton Wanderers, and tough place to go. We have some very interesting games with Wolves in the modern era, and some tough ones. We slight changes in our team: Pope, Trippier, Lascelles, Shaw, Byrne, Longstaff, Bruno, Joe Linton, Wilson, Gordon, and Almiron. And Wolves, Sarr, Nelson Semedo, Kilman, Dawson, Gomez, Neto, Lamina, Traore, Alt-Nouri, Hwang, and Matthias Cunha. Hwang and Matthias Cunha, too, the dangerous pairing is at the front for Wolves, and that we need to keep our eyes on. A good game from the off. Some end-to-end stuff, lots of near misses both ends. And on 22 minutes, Callum Wilson, who's running their defenders ragged, makes it 1-0 to Newcastle. 36 minutes, and Lamina makes it 1-1. And then, with almost the last play of the half, Anthony Gordon's going into the penalty area, and Dawson, their big defender, brings him down, and we get a penalty, and up steps Wilson to make it 2. So we go in at half time 2-1 up, and well deserved, although it's even Steven in some ways. We've certainly had a go at this one. So second half, and everybody's expecting us to carry on the same way, and we do, but unfortunately, Wolves aren't giving in. They're having a go back, and then we make the mistake of leaving Hwang on his own in the middle of the pitch, and he runs 30 yards before slotting the ball underneath Nick Pope to make it 2-2. So then on, it's end to end, and something of a backs to the wall for us, because Wolves are really up for this. So there's a lot of hard defending done, and also lots of pushing and shoving, because Burnley, Lascelles, Trippier, and Longstaff all get booked, and Wolves have Al-Nouri, Gomez, and Dawson booked. So towards the end, it was getting a bit spicy, but we get a draw out of it. Is the important thing. Anthony Taylor, the referee, first referee for us of the season, it says. We then are away to League Cup round 4 to Manchester United, and again, according to the pundits, we needn't turn up. They're gonna slaughter us. We send a changed team: Dubravka, Livramento, Kraft, Dummett, Target, Hall, Longstaff, Willock, Ritchie, Joe Linton, and Gordon. Now, I have to say, I've got hands up. When I saw that team that Eddie Howe sent out at Old Trafford, I was a bit concerned as well that how would they cope with the hybrids of Manchester United. Manchester United were Onana, Dalio, Lindelof, Maguire, Reguilon, Midgebury, Casemiro, Anthony, Mount, Garnacho, and Martial, all multi-talented and very expensive players compared to ours. I mean, to send in a centre-back pairing of Kraft and Dummett against those forwards was, I think, some of our fans thought it was very brave. As it turns out, from the first minute, Newcastle have a go at Manchester United, and no surprise, in 28 minutes, when Miguel Almiron runs through their defence, leaves Maguire and Lindelof lying in his wake to make it 1-0. And then on 36 minutes, there's a corner on the left side, and it bounces around for a little bit, and then eventually bounces to the left side of the penalty area to where none other than Lewis Hall's standing. And with hardly a change in his pace, he puts a volley in the far corner of a like you'll do well to see as good a shot again to make it 2-0. And that's how it stayed till half time. So after all the trepidation of the team selection and all the rest of it, and the foreboding of all the pundits, here we are sitting 2-0 up at Old Trafford, which is a rare occurrence for Newcastle United. But they don't look like they're going to surrender either. They're playing really well. So second half gets going, and we're still pushing them and giving as good as we get, and few attempts by Anthony and Martial, but they're wide, and Dubravka not even really having to make a proper save. He has to take a long shot from Casemiro, and he does it very well. And as the game progresses, we're slowly getting back into it. And on 60 minutes, some amazing play by Willock with Gordon, and ends up with a return pass to Willock, who makes it 3-0. And the travelling fans can hardly believe it. And I've got to say, some of the fans at home, like me, could hardly believe it as well. Robert Jones, the referee, and he only complaint he has is that Robert Jones booked four bookings for the hosts, but it was lenient because some of the tackles and elbows deployed should have resulted in red cards, is what our commentator says. Who cares? 3-0 win to Newcastle United, and we're through to the next round of the League Cup. Arsenal at home next. Another tough game, and Arsenal being tipped to be one of the front runners in the Premiership this particular season, and vastly changed team, of course, from Old Trafford. Pope, Trippier, Lascelles, Shaw, Byrne, Longstaff, Bruno, Joe Linton, Wilson, Gordon, and Almiron, and with some of the players who played at Manchester now on the bench: Dubravka, Dummett, Kraft, Hall, and Miley. Arsenal have Rea, White, Zalabida, Gabriel, Tomiyasu, Havertz, Jorginho, Rice, Saka, Nikita, and Martinelli. Very talented Arsenal side. They're being tipped for all sorts of things. And a very attractive game right from the outset. It's lots of good football, but mostly in midfield. Neither goalkeeper really having a lot to do. So it's a midfield battle for the purist, really, this game, and some really good football being played by both sides. However, if there's going to be a goal, we look a little more like scoring, because they're struggling to keep hold of Gordon, and struggling to keep hold of Callum Wilson as well, Arsenal, and so the game goes on. Second half, we go 0-0 at half time. The second half, we seem to up our pace just that little bit, and it's Gordon inevitably who's going to break the deadlock. And on 64 minutes, he just outpaces the entire Arsenal defence, and coming in from the left, slots a right-footed shot underneath the rear, their goalkeeper, to make it 1-0. The one thing it does do, it wakes Arsenal up, of course, and they really come out and have a go, and they're dangerous, and sometimes over the top striker Havertz is not just causing lots of difficulty, he's having a kick at everybody in the Newcastle defence. Unfortunately for us, one or two of ours have a kick back, so we end up with Gordon, Longstaff, Shaw, Bruno, and Livramento all in the book, and all involved with Havertz, who was also booked. But we it's not a case of hanging on. We win clearly. That there's no way we're going to give these points up to Arsenal. So we end up 1-0 winners. Stuart Atwell, the referee. The commentator only has 4 words for his performance, and it's out of his depth, which says it all, really. I have to say, being at that match, the only criticism I would have was that he was too long getting his yellow card out, and the net result is when he eventually did, he had to get it out 4 or 5 times instead of doing it once earlier on. But that was the way it went. back to European Championship again, return leg with Borussia Dortmund. Now, the home leg was tough. Going to the yellow wall in Dortmund was going to be even tougher. And so it was. We sent out Pope, Trippier, Lascelles, Shaw, Hall, Longstaff, Bruno, Willock, Livramento, Wilson, and Joe Linton. And Dortmund, Gobel, Schul, Hummels, Schlotterbeck, Ryerson, Sabalitzer, Ozkan, Adameni, Nemicha, Brandt, Fulkrug as for Dortmund. And it was an entertaining football game, but a one which Borussia Dortmund controlled from start to finish. No surprise in 26 minutes when Fulkrug, from a nice through ball, scored the first goal on 26 minutes. We held them off though, and we kept having a go at them, and we went in the 1-0 at half time with the hope that we might get back in the second half. But Dortmund just battened down the hatches and used breakaways to upset us. And again, Brandt, their dangerous centre forward, made it 2 on 79 minutes. And I have to say that it wasn't really a surprise. But we gave a good count of ourselves in what was difficult territory for us. There's no question about that. So that's a first. Well, it wasn't a big loss, but it was a disappointing loss. The 2-0 was more than Dortmund deserved, but we held on and come home to a league game at Bournemouth. Bournemouth are starting to play some really good football, although they're being predicted to struggle in the Premiership. We go with virtually the same team as at Dortmund. Pope, Trippier, Lascelles, Shaw, Hall, Longstaff, Miley, Willock, Almiron, Gordon, and Joe Linton. And Bournemouth, Neto, Aarons, Zabarami, Zensi, Kelly, Christie, Cook, Semenyo, Clivert, Tavernier, and Solanke. And a tidy football side, and one which in the past has given us trouble. Up to half time, the game's end-to-end stuff and some attractive football, but neither team troubling the goalkeepers. Then second half, Bournemouth seemed to up the pace just that little bit, and Solanke starts to give Shaw and Lascelles problems through the middle. And it's no surprise on 60 minutes when he scores the first goal and takes the lead. They take the lead. And then on 72 minutes, same Solanke again goes through our defence with too much ease, to be honest, to make it 2-0. We have a goal back, but we never look like we're going to score a goal. And the 2-0 loss is not unkind at all. It doesn't flatter Bournemouth either. Chris Kavanagh, the referee, and John Brooks on VAR. We then come home to a league match against Chelsea. Now, Chelsea, another one of the teams that's been tipped to do things at the top of the Premiership this season. It's going to be a difficult game, there's no question. And the teams, Pope, Trippier, Livramento, Lascelles, Shaw, Joelinton, Guveresh, Lewis, Miley, Gordon, Almiron, Isaac. Some changes there. And for Chelsea, Sanchez, James, Thiago Silva, Badashil, Cucurella, Ugo Kwichu, Fernandes, Palmer, Gallagher, Sterling, and Jackson. And it's a very talented side. and first half is end-to-end stuff before a full house. In fact, one of the fullest games of the season, 52,227. I think that leaves about 3 empty seats for it to be a real full house. So the crowd supporting the team in the best way they can. First half, entertain end-to-end stuff. And on 13 minutes, it's no surprise when Isaac puts in the lead. And equally on 23 minutes, it's no surprise when Sterling, who's giving our a back four something of a runaround occasionally, makes it 1-1, and we go in it at half time at 1-1. Second half, we come out. Now I don't know what Eddie Howe said to them, or what he put in that tea, or what, but they look like a different team. Just overrun Chelsea, and unfortunately for them, not long into the second half, their fullback, their talented fullback James, gets a second yellow card and has to go off, and leaves them a man short. From then on, it's all Newcastle. Chelsea just can't handle Isaac and Gordon and Almiron's pace, and so it's no. But interestingly, and the other thing is that they struggle since James went off. The defense seems to be in disarray, because every dead ball, every corner, our big defenders are troubling at the back. So it's no surprise on 60 minutes when Lascelles makes it 2. Nearly seconds later, from another corner, Joe Linton makes it 3. And then on 83 minutes, Anthony Gordon just runs them ragged to make it 4. So a 4-1 win over Chelsea is something to be really banging a drum about. But we temper this celebration because they've only got 10 men, but never mind. They a good win for us, and takes the pressure off a little bit. The next game is the Champions League in Paris against PSG, the return game. Huge excitement about this, and every ticket sold for Newcastle fans. So the weekend was always going to be full, and that's a great tribute to them. And if it was only going to be a repeat of what we'd had in the first game, but we know that that's not likely. However, the teams are very much the same. Pope, Trippier, Lascelles, Charles, Livramento, Bruno, Miley, Joe Linton, Almiron, Gordon, and Isak. PSG, same team that played at St James's. Donori, Hakimi, Sinica, Pereira, Hernandez, Ruiz, Ugarte, Lee, Dembele, Kola, Muani, and Mbappe. Incredible game. We didn't sit back. We actually had a go at them. And they didn't, as at St James's, they were struggling against the pace of Gordon and Almiron and Isak. And so when Alexander Isak on 24 minutes made it 1-0, and it stayed like that at half time, I think black and white hearts were beaten and thinking, well, we win this, we're going to get through to the next stage of the competition, because that's what we needed. A draw was no good. It had to be a win. And so the second half went off, and it looked like we were going to hold it. We threatened them as much as they threatened us, and on it went. And then right at the death, after many chances we didn't take, there's a very controversial handball against Livramento, and Paris Saint-Germain are awarded a penalty on 90 plus 8 minutes, with everybody, including pundits, scratching their head as to where this referee got the 8 minutes extra on for this game. But there it was. He gave the penalty. confirmed by VAR, sadly. But even then, still, pundits were questioning whether it was the right decision. No choice. Mbappe took the penalty to make it 1-1 and send PSG through to the next stage of the competition. It was a sad way to lose after the effort the team had put in and the support that supporters had given. But it was fascinating to witness the fact that we have been talked about as going to get whitewashed, had put in such a performance in all these games, and including this one. And it really was regarded as by many as a rather freak decision, this 1-1 drawn in Paris. Got a bit spicy, as you can imagine. 7 booked from PSG and 3 from us. He was a Polish referee who took charge of the 2022 World Cup final. And to say that he was unpopular on Tyneside, putting it mildly, but well done. The lads did really try and give us something to cheer about in Europe when predictions were that we were going to get slaughtered. So we come home to another tough match against Manchester United, and you wonder if after the exertions of Europe and the injuries were starting to pick up, we now have Botman seriously injured and 1 or 2 others picking up knocks. However, this game we play Pope, Trippier, Livramento, Lascelles, Shaw, Joelinton, Bruno, Miley, Gordon, Almiron, and Isak. And by now, of course, Lewis Miley's becoming a darling of the crowd. This 70-year-old Geordie's really stamping himself into the Premiership and doing it really well. Manchester United, Onana, Wayne Bissaka, Shaw, Dalio, Maguire, Menoko, McTominay, Fernandes, Martial, Rashford, and Garnacho. A really multi-talented, multi-price team, which would expect to do better than they did at St. James. Well, they came out and it was all stuck in midfield. The tries they couldn't break us down, and vice versa, despite the trouble that our front 3, Gordon, Almiron, and Isak were giving them with their pace. Nobody could break the deadlock, so we went in 0-0 at half time. Second half, we came out and it looked like, again, one of these games where Eddie Howe put something in a tea, because they were a different side, really giving Manchester United a run around. And so it, as expected by most people, Anthony Gordon on 55 minutes broke the deadlock with a peach of a goal, cutting in from the left to drive with his right, and we were 1-0 in the lead. And it was a lead we never looked like losing. It really was backs to the wall for Manchester United to try and stave off a much heavier defeat. And we got the 3 points, which is fantastic, because they were being really touted for something big at the beginning of the season, and they're slowly but surely disappearing over the horizon. Next game is an away game to Everton. It's Goodison, not always a happy hunting ground for us, but people thinking, well, they're not doing too well, we should at least have a chance. We send slightly changed team: Dubravka, Trippier, Livramento, Lascelles, Shaw, Bruno, Miley, Almiron, Gordon, Joelinton, and Isak. Everton have Pickford, Coleman, Tarkowski, who they bought from Burnley, Braintrade, Milanoro, Harrison, Young, Guerre, McNeil, Gakpo, and Calvert-Lewin. They're dangerous centre forward. And it's end-to-end stuff in the first half, but nobody threatening the goal. We're as dangerous as they are. Gordon and Isak having opportunities, but Pickford keeping them out. They come out for the second half, and it's going the same way. Then suddenly, McNeil, their dangerous midfielder, on 79 minutes makes it 1-0, and sadly, it disrupts us. There's no question about that, and it's not long before Dako makes it 2. Then on 90 minutes plus 6, Betts makes it 3. Lose the game 3-0 like that, where we were really in it until the first goal went in, was a bit sad. But that's how it goes sometimes. Really a game where we hoped we might get a point. We didn't actually get anything, and it was not the best game of the season. In fact, probably one of our worst. If we're looking for an easy pickup, then we're not going to get it, because we're away at Tottenham in the next game, and Spurs are playing quite well. We slightly changed team. Dubravka, Trippier, Shaw, Lascelles, Livramento, Miley, Bruno, Joelinton, Almiron, Isak and Gordon. Spurs, Vicario, Poré, Romero, Davis, Udogi, Bissouma, Sarr, Johnson, Kuszlewski, Richarlison and Son. And after kick-off, it looks like we're going to give them as good as we got. But unfortunately, at the corner, just on 26 minutes, big defender, Udogi, makes it 1-0. And then the dangerous forward, Richarlison, on 38 minutes, skates through the defence and makes it 2. That's how it stays till half time. The second half is all Spurs. They obviously come out intending to have a go. And on 60 minutes, Richarlison makes it 3. And on 85 minutes, Richarlison going through for what looked like his hat-trick is brought down by Lascelles. Up steps Son to take the penalty to make it 4. And then with almost the last kick of the game, Joelinton scores for us to make it 4-1. It's a bad defeat, second in a row, with us looking really out of sorts. And I think most people begin to wonder if the exertions of the Champions League aren't just catching up with us. But however, we're out of it now, but we've still got games to play. So we come home from Spurs to a Champions League match against AC Milan, and team slightly changed with Dubravka, Trippier, Livramento, Lascelles, Shaw, Miley, Joelinton, Bruno, Isak, Gordon, and Almiron. And AC Milan, almost the same team we played in Milan. Magnan, Calabri, Tomos, Hernandez, Florenzi, Regingas, Musha, Pulisic, Loftus-Cheek, who'd just gone from Chelsea, Rafael Leao, and Giroud, who's was always a thorn in his side for us when he played for Chelsea. However, it's a good and it's some good football, entertaining game, and we're giving as good as we got. And on 33 minutes, Joelinton nips in before anybody else at the corner and gives us a 1-0 lead, and we hold that till half time. In the second half, same end-to-end stuff, some attractive football, but unfortunately, Pulisic from Milan makes it 1-1 on 59 minutes, and then the substitute Chukwueski comes on, and on 84 minutes, he's only been on a few minutes, makes it 2-1 to Milan. And it was an entertaining game, but a one which we kind of surrendered rather meekly towards the end, and that was a bit disappointing. Milan, in the course of the game, had 7 players booked, and we had 2, all for pushing and shoving rather than really nasty stuff. It was handbags at 10 paces as far as I could see. But nevertheless, Milan were, in the end, worthy winners because we never looked like we would get it back. But the end of what was an amazing campaign, considering from day one we were never given a chance, and yet, had it not been for a very questionable penalty in Paris, we would have been through to the next round. And so we come home to back to league duty with a home game against Fulham, who were never easy opponents, and side slightly changed. Dubravka, Ramento, Shaw, Lascelles, Sean Longstaff, Bruno, Joelinton, Almiron, Wilson, and Gordon. And Fulham, Leno, Castagni, Alabero, Diop, Robinson, Pirama, Kearney, Iwobi, Piera, Wilson, and Jimenez. Fulham a good footballing side, and game starts off with some good football, some good play from both sides, and then inexplicably on 22 minutes, Jimenez, the left-sided attacker, just out of the blue, makes a crunching tackle, really, really bad tackle on Livramento, and the referee gives him direct red card. Now, having been there, the referee was absolutely right, but of course that put Fulham on the back foot. 0-0 at half time, and we got what we expected second half, that Fulham would just pack the defence with everybody that they could, and that's what they did, and just left one player up front, Piera, and did a big defensive thing. But 57 minutes, when everybody was thinking it was going to be a dreary 0-0, a piece of absolutely wonderful skill from Lewis Miley from the edge of the penalty area, just let loose and made it 1-0 with an absolute blinder. 64 minutes, 2-0, but with Almiron. Then on 82 minutes, a corner and a Dan Burn header makes it 3. And it looked like Dan Burn was going to make 10 laps of the pitch when he scored. He was so happy about that one. And a good win to come back from what we'd suffered elsewhere. Interesting that we're in this part of the season because of the injuries where we've got a bench with 2 goalkeepers on it. You know, Gillespie's on and so's Karius, which is just a commentary about how thin our bench is, really, once we get some serious injuries. And Eddie Howe has to manage that. So we then go away to Chelsea in the League Cup quarter final. At long last, are we going to get a bit further in this League Cup? And it's a good game. Some good football, some good attacking play, and we're certainly not going to give it away. And on 16 minutes, Callum Wilson makes it 1-0 to make it look like we really are going to go somewhere. And that's how it stays till half time. Second half, Chelsea are backs to the wall, and we're doing everything we can to seal this victory. And then an inexplicable mistake by Kieran Trippier, who just come on for Kraft as a substitute, totally miskicked the ball, misread the ball, and left Chelsea with an easy tap in to score an equaliser when they were actually down and out. and that was on 90 minutes plus 2. That's how unfortunate that was. And that's how it stayed, and we went to penalties. And unfortunately, it's not the first time we lost on penalties 4-2. But very unfortunate the circumstances, and we could easily have gone further in that competition. And Jared Gillett is the referee, an Australian, first-time referee in Newcastle United. And next game is we're away in the league to Luton, and we've got a change team again: Dubravka, Trippier, Burns, Shaw, Lascelles, Miley, Longstaff, Bruno, Wilson, Almiron, and Gordon. It's Luton have Kaminsky, Mengi, Osho, Bell, Kabore, Lalonga, Barkley, Doherty, Townsend, Brown, and Adebayo. Not, in my opinion, Newcastle's best match of the season. In fact, in my opinion, probably the worst, because the first thing I noticed during this game is that there was so much chat between our defenders from the off, as though there was something wrong at the back, and noticeably mostly Longstaff and Shaw having words, and then Bruno and Lascelles having words, and it didn't seem to be a happy squad. So it was quite sad, but not entirely unexpected when an ex-Magpie, Townsend, made it 1-0 to Luton. Second half we tried, but not. We never looked like getting back into the game, and a 1-0 win in a game which I think most of us thought that they had a chance of winning. So next game is the home game against Nottingham Forest, and I've got to say that it was obvious from the off that we were flat on this one. And Forest, with the help of our former centre forward Chris Wood, who I liked and still like, but he was on fire, and we made 3 mistakes, and all 3 of them Chris Wood picked up on them, and just left our defenders trailing in his wake to get a hat trick. Isaac scored for us from a penalty on 23 minutes to make it 1-0. Wood equalised on 45 minutes, and then he proceeded to get the other 2 goals running away from our defenders to make it 3-1 to Nottingham Forest. Before a full house, 52,207, which is sad, disappointing, but I suppose people coming to support the team out of loyalty because of the performance of the team in the Champions League. And the next game, not the sort of game you need when you're a bit down and out and got lots of injuries, to go to Anfield to play Liverpool, and we send Dubravka, Livramento, Shaw. Botman comes back from injury. Many question whether that's too soon. Byrne, Miley, Guveresh, Longstaff, Joe Linton, Isaac, and Gordon. And first half we give as good as we get, and we go in 0-0 at half time, which is quite a surprise because Liverpool are really hot at the moment. And Liverpool, Alisson, Alexander-Arnold, Konate, Van Dijk, Gomez, Stozibal, Endo, Jones, Salah, Nunez, and Diaz. And we're giving as good as we get. And even after half time, we're not doing too badly. Then we make the mistake of letting Salah wriggle free in the penalty area. And on 49 minutes, he makes it 1-0. However, we come back at them, and Isaac makes it 1-1 on 54 minutes. And then Liverpool just go bananas, and Jones and Gakpo on 74 and 78 minutes make it 3. And we hope we might get back in it when Botman heads in from a corner to make it 3-2. But on 86 minutes, Salah from a penalty area after Dan Burnett upended Gakpo in the penalty area to make it 4-2. And Anthony Taylor, the referee. And it's a difficult place to go and get a result. But on the other hand, having given them a game for more than half of that game, it was sad to see the result go to 4-2, because they didn't deserve to lose 4-2. However, that was the end of an awful sequence of games for us. A fascinating period in the Champions League, well ahead of schedule, most of us thought. But a real fillip to show what's possible. And if there is support for Eddie Howe in the transfer market, it could easily happen again. And we look forward to it. Now, I'd suggest that after, I think we've had our 2 hours almost, that it's a good point to stop and come back and finish off, because we've still got the FA Cup to look forward to, and some things that are happening in there, and the rest of the league programme. So I think we'll close part 1 with that defeat at Liverpool. As I say, an end of a sad sequence of events, but also the end of a fantastic run in the Champions League that definitely flabbergasted, I think, most of the pundits. We were in the group of death, they thought. I think they thought we were there as whipping boys, and barring that controversial penalty in Paris, we would have been through to the next stage. So we did ourselves proud, crowd did themselves proud, as did everything that happened at St James Park during the PSG and the other away games. So that's it. We'll reconvene for part 2, I'm sure.
Great stuff, George. Thanks very much, mate. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care.
Okay, my pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for watching, everybody.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Email them, info@mrvickies.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. 3-star plus quality hotels, no interchanges, hot and cold snacks and drinks available on the coach, all excursions included. Their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet, and it's just £30 per person deposit. A big thanks to Media Arts for all the technical side of things. You can find them at their website, media-arts.co.uk. And if you listen to us a podcast, you can find us at Sport Social Podcast Network. You can also find us on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast providers. If you want to help the channel, you can subscribe to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button underneath this video, hit the thumb up, which is the like button, or join the channel. You can also visit our website, nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk, and take out a lifetime membership for £25, which gets you a pen, a badge, a key ring, a beer mat, a fridge magnet, and also your membership card and entry into the monthly draw. There's some Newcastle United events coming up. Friday the 23rd of January sees Chris Waddle and Peter Beardsley at the Tyne Theatre Tickets available 0844 249 1000 or website Tyne Theatre and Opera House.uk. Some summer events to come up as well. An evening with John Beresford takes place at the Crown Plaza on Friday the 25th of July, 7:30 till 10:30. Tickets by hitting that QR code. And NUFC Matters end of season party takes place on the 27th of June. Steve Howie and Steve Watson will be in attendance and will be hosted by Joe Allen at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets available from nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk or by going onto Voucher. And we are raising money for Age UK North Tyneside Dementia. On Saturday the 9th of August, Northern Horizon, the Blake 7 convention takes place at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets available from nufcmatters.co.uk. Come along and meet the likes of Jan Chappell, Sally Navette, Brian Croucher and Sasha Mitchell. Don't forget as well, we have limited edition copies of The Entertainers signed by Peter Beardsley and Lee Clark. Available now from newcastlelegends.com.